welcome to DJ Live this 23rd day of August 2021. It is 3 days since the Court of Appeal pronounced itself on the appeal on the Building Bridges initiative. And after the court's decision, of course, we have seen, controversies, comments, from various political actors, and basically some are happy about, the court's pronouncements, and some are not happy. And that's why today I want to pronounce myself on this issue. When the president and the former prime minister, appeared on the gates of Harambee House in March 2019 and declared that they had decided to bury their political hatchets and came up with what then came to be known as the handshake. I was amongst the first people who appeared on national TV and congratulated the duo for having put aside their differences for the sake of the nation. As immediately after the elections, we had a lot of controversies here and there, with the side that lost the election basically starting what they call resist. They were resisting, the administration of the president, and nothing meaningfully would go on, especially in those areas that were being controlled by the opposition. So the handshake, even though some may disagree, I still believe that the handshake had good intentions, and that the nation actually was able to move forward with economic and social development. You could see areas that initially opposed this regime actually, coming down and because they are accepting to move on, to accept and move on. I've always said that elections are prescribed by the Constitution, that every 5 years we must subject ourselves to a constitution, and elections are just a means of us electing our leaders, and that the responsibility of the voter, the Wanjiku, the common man, is to vote, listen to everyone that is putting themselves up for elections, and decide which policies they like, and vote for their favorite candidate. I've always said, and again, that it is our responsibility as a people, to accept the results of the election, just the way we do, in sports. Before we start running, we must accept. And Swahili, they say, asiye kubali kushindwa siye mshindani. And this is why I'm one of those people who believe that voters simply vote, and we go home, and we have no role to play after that. For example, if the protagonists do not accept the results of the elections, then this nation, and again, the Constitution has put in place measures, to be able to address those issues. And that's why in 2013, 2017, of course, we saw those who are disaffected go to court, and let the court be able to intervene. Yeah, I still believe that this is the case, that voters have no business, after you vote, you have no business, fighting, for your candidate. And it is good. And I said earlier on again that if the protagonists can find a way of coming together And that is a good thing. That is basically their problem. And it's a good thing. It's a good for the nation because then we reduce political temperature. So I believe that the Building Bridges initiative was a good thing. I still believe it is a good thing because we are building bridges here. The opposite of building bridges is erecting walls, and who would be against somebody who just wants to build bridges? Someone who wants to ensure that there is peace between, our communities. Yes, and that is why I still support the Building Bridges initiative as it was initially intended by the president and the former prime minister, because this nation needs peace to move on. Without peace, we cannot achieve any meaningful development. However, when this initiative, basically started, initially it was not clear where it would go. We were not clear, and it was not clear whether the 9 point to achieve the 9 points agenda that the president and the former prime minister wanted to address. We were not sure whether it would be, it will, culminate into a constitutional change, or if some of those agenda, could be solved administratively or through parliament. So initially it was never clear, and they said as much that, they were not sure whether this thing would end up into a constitutional change. And this is, I think, is where the rain started beating us, because eventually, when we started to look at the kind of reforms that we wanted, and for me, one of the most important reforms was electoral reforms. How would we be able to solve the issue of our elections so that our elections can eventually become acceptable to all persons, who were candidates in those elections. So this BBI should have, in my view, and of course others thought we should have had, safeguards, to be able to address, the elections, because for once we need to have elections that are where the protagonists actually, accept that it was free and fair, that it was credible. So that's one of the things that I thought the main thing that would be addressed. Another thing was the winner take all. But of course, this is debatable, because when you go for a competition, you basically want to be the one to make decisions, to be in charge of your policies, to be in charge of your manifestos that you promised. So of course, people have been complaining about the winner take all. But as long as the Constitution has safeguards whereby, for example, the person who lost the elections, he has a respectable recourse as the leader of the opposition, so that he doesn't have to go back to his village and cook mandazi, basically to face a humiliation, and that's why I think that strengthening the office of the opposition, official opposition, give it resources, give it staff, so that it's able to research, it's able to keep the government in toes, and with it give it some respectability, security, chase cars, whatever they need, so that he's not feeling like he's being taken home, to cook mandazi. And this is, I think, one of the most important things that we should have been able to achieve in a reform, so that the moment you lose elections, then you have your car there and driver and your staff waiting for you. You report to work immediately and start keeping the government check. This, I think, as far as I'm concerned, are the most important reforms that we could have achieved, so that we stop this idea of people fighting, or people, inciting their supporters to go and cause chaos just because of an election. So I think these are the issues that we should have been able to address. And so last week's pronouncement by the court, saying that the bill, was not constitutional. Of course, many people, agreed with that. Some people also disagreed with that. But I think, as a nation, I think we now need to move on, find out, are there any alternative avenues we can use to be able to achieve the reforms that we feel are urgent, especially as we head to the next general elections. So these are my views on that. The debate continues. It will continue. I see that the Attorney General is going to appeal in the Supreme Court. This is in his own right. Is in his right. We also need, this, to be able to develop our jurisprudence, as a country. The lawyers who basically argued these cases on both sides had really, really good lessons, and I really enjoyed watching and listening and learning. Even the common man, there are people who learned. This is the first time I heard about the basic structure, and I came to appreciate, the basic structure, and how it is important in our constitution. So as we continue with this debate, let's see what happens in the coming weeks. Thank you.